Chapter
NK
41
Books.
Fur Turns into Treasure. Lap lap lap. Van Han walked cheerfully, humming a strange tune with broken verses as if patching songs together. From time to time she stopped, holding the rabbit to gaze at it, her bright eyes curving like a crescent moon, looking like a little fox sneaking food. So Phong felt helpless. This rabbit had become the girl's stimulant, and their whole journey was filled with joy. Sometimes good mood can truly give endless motivation. As long as one has hope and harvest, one can persist. The girl was like that now. Her joy had become her driving force. So Phong, should we roast it? The iron pot seems too small. Van Han asked cautiously. You are the chef, you decide. So Phong smiled fondly. He was responsible for finding food, so they never had to worry about hunger, and there was no need to debate roasting or boiling. Then I must think carefully. Van Han pouted, sinking into hesitation again. Take your time, the camp is still a distance away. So Phong swallowed water, wiping sweat from his forehead. He thought tomorrow they should go to the seashore for salt. These days he sweated too much, losing large amounts of salt. It must be replenished. Sweat slid down Van Han's cheeks. She hesitated and said, if tomorrow we cannot catch a rabbit, we can still eat something, right? No, now we must fill our stomachs, or our bodies will grow weaker. So Phong firmly rejected her idea, because if they endured hunger from the beginning, it would be impossible to last 365 days. Fine then. Van Han pouted at his back, showing her girlish temper. Finally we are home. She relaxed, sitting down by the fire. Next time, do not go so far. So Phong said softly, as he set down mugwort leaves and wild vegetables. I still want to go. This time only because we lacked enough water, otherwise I had no problem. Van Han insisted. Then you must eat more, or you will have no strength. So Phong squatted by the fire, throwing dry leaves into the ashes. The flame rose again. I will fetch water. Van Han forced herself to stand despite sore legs, carrying the iron pot. All right. She turned and picked up the rabbit again. They spent a few minutes reaching the water source, first washing their faces to refresh. Van Han, take the water back to boil, then bring it here to soak in the stream, only then can we drink right away. So Phong instructed. Ah? Soaking? That is a good method. Her eyes lit up. She carried the pot of water back to the shelter. By now their throats burned with thirst. If not fearing bacteria and parasites, they would have drunk straight from the stream. How should we deal with this rabbit? So Phong looked at it thoughtfully. Wild fur was natural insulation, but only if processed well, otherwise it spoiled quickly. Luckily I remember some knowledge. He muttered, sharpening the hatchet with a stone, cleaning the army shovel, preparing it as a plate. He began processing the rabbit, removing skin while keeping the pelt intact, and cleaning the organs. In the wild, some animal organs were better not eaten, since they might carry diseases. These things really annoy flies. So Phong waved his hand, chasing insects buzzing around the meat. Clack clack. Here is water. Van Han's gentle voice called. She carried the heavy pot and placed it into the stream to soak. She secured it, then returned to So Phong, looked at the rabbit meat on the shovel, and smiled. So Phong, divide the rabbit in two, meat for roasting, bones for soup with wild vegetables. All right. So Phong agreed, feeling it was reasonable. With both roasting and boiling, it was their first feast. Chapter 42, A Culinary Show. The hide can be made into shoes, and later when there are more rabbit skins, we can make fur clothes. So Phong quickly cleaned the rabbit meat. He handed the engineer shovel to the girl and said softly, take it back first, I will finish the hide and then bring the water. All right. Van Han took the shovel and turned back. Now we need a wooden frame to stretch the hide, or it will shrink. So Phong put down the axe, cleaned it, then went to cut wood in vines. With careful planning, he shaped the logs into a triangle and fixed the skin in the middle, so the whole hide was stretched. Judging by the sun, it should take 2 days to dry. He looked at the sun, then found a big stone. He placed the hide on it to sun, then lifted the iron pot from the stream, sipping a warm mouthful. Still a bit hot, but careful enough to drink. He carried the axe and the pot back, and from afar saw the girl handling wild greens. He handed her the pot, speaking gently, "Drink some water first." "Okay." She dropped the greens and drank from the pot in small sips. "Hick." She drank too much and burped, then let go of the pot, patted her belly and laughed, "I feel alive again." "You drank too much water, later you cannot eat much rabbit." So Phong rolled his eyes, took the pot, then he too drank until it was empty. Van Han smiled slightly and then snapped, "Give me the pot, I will fetch water to cook rabbit." "Here, be careful." So Phong chuckled, this time not following her. "Do not worry." She carried the pot and the greens to the stream. Watching her leave, he saw flies circling the shovel but not daring near the fire. "To roast meat, we need sticks." He carved a few sticks for skewers, enough for 3 skewers of rabbit. Then he burned charcoal, because roasting is better on charcoal than open flame. When ready, Van Han returned with pot and greens. "Time to stew the rabbit." She happily hung the pot and added the meat and bones. He wondered if they should craft a water container, otherwise fetching water each time was troublesome. "Here." She handed some skewered rabbit, copying him with leaves wrapped around. 3 skewers ready. "Start roasting." He set 2 stones as a rack. Sizzle, sizzle. Fat dripped on charcoal with tempting sound. "Smells so good." She looked eagerly, mouth watering. Splash. She quickly opened the pot lid, afraid the soup would overflow. Haste makes waste. He chuckled, finding a wild chili green. Meanwhile, the live broadcast cut to a scene. Survival turned into a cooking show with just 3 skewers. "Wow, this looks delicious." Ha Min shouted. "Indeed, not bad." Wang Lin said calmly, though his face was complex. Yesterday he thought they could not last a day, but now they had roasted meat. "What meat is this?" Wu Ting asked curiously, her eyes shining at the steaming skewers. "If we want to know, we must watch the replay." After all, 100 teams join Wilderness Survival 365 days. Each live broadcast only glimpses, some scenes missed can be replayed to follow. The screen showed So Phong setting traps, then cut to when he and Van Han met the red wolf. "Is that a red wolf? Why is it here?" Wang Lin turned pale. "Red wolf?" Ha Min gasped, "Teacher Wang, please explain its danger." The red wolf is the strongest canid, fierce and agile, smaller than common wolves but more powerful. Wang Lin said seriously. "Hiss." Ha Min inhaled coldly, worried, "Does that mean So Phong and Van Han are in danger?" "Not really, So Phong was right. It is a lone red wolf, less likely to attack 2 people. So you mean, today's rabbit feast may be their last meal?" Ha Min exclaimed. Chapter 43, The Last Piece is Mine. Wang Lin was a world-renowned wilderness survival expert, his vision was sharp, his experience vast, and most of his words gained agreement. Yet he had a flaw, his character was a bit narrow. He predicted that So Phong and Van Han would not last more than 1 day, based on his experience, but he was proven wrong. Wang Lin did not get angry at So Phong and Van Han, since it was only his own judgment, but still felt uneasy, for everyone was watching. But little sister Van Han is a great rice king, that bit of meat is not enough, she should save some, right? Wu Tin Noyet suddenly pitied the little lowly. After returning, she deliberately searched for some live streams to replay, as part of her professional ethics, to better observe the characters. Among them, Van Han was her favorite to watch. She had seen the little lowly eat snake meat soup with wild vegetables, finishing more than half a pot, which shocked Wu Tin Noyet, who only ate 1 bowl of rice. Great Rice King? Wang Lin was stunned, hesitantly asking. Can she really eat that much? At least 10 bowls of rice per meal. Tai Vai Din suddenly interjected. What? Everyone was dumbfounded, not expecting the always aloof Te Vai Din to join in. 10 bowls? With Van Han's petite figure, that appetite is terrifying. Ha Min quickly added. Yes, even a rabbit would not fill her stomach. Wu Tin Noyet sighed. She glanced at Te Vai Din. The data did mention Van Han being a great rice king, but no one knew how much she ate, unless watching live. Wu Tin Noyet guessed Te Vai Din had also seen the scene of Van Han eating snake. Then she should save more, or else tomorrow she will have nothing, hunger will be worse. Wang Lin's voice lowered, for a great rice king in the wild was indeed suffering. Te Vai Din did not speak this time, but she had indeed watched the live replay of Van Han. She saw herself in Van Han, also an orphan, also sensible since childhood, with no one to rely on. What resonated most with Te Vai Din was the appetite. She herself was a great rice king, needing at least 10 bowls per meal, which gave her the strength to defeat many young martial artists. Ha Min, seeing Te Vai Din silent, continued. We need not guess, just watch how So Phong and Van Han choose. Everyone nodded, turning eyes to the screen, where So Phong and Van Han began roasting meat. Inside the wooden hut, white smoke floated, the rabbit's aroma grew rich, especially for hungry stomachs, the scent magnified many times. Crackle! All right, it's ready. So Phong smiled gently, opened the roast, and handed a skewer to the girl. Hot, so hot. Eat carefully, no one is taking it from you. So Phong scolded softly. The girl squinted, shook her head happily. Delicious, a bit spicy. So Phong rolled his eyes. Delicious or not was obvious, the only flavor came from the young chili peppers, the rabbit's smell surely remained. These 2 skewers we keep for night. So Phong said with a smile. Ah? You won't eat now? Van Han froze, unwillingly looking at the skewer, then quickly handed it over. Then let's also keep this one for dinner, later with soup. No need, 2 skewers are enough, you eat this one. So Phong waved his hand. Eating too much now would be hard to digest, wasting food, 2 meals would be just right. As for saving till tomorrow, he never thought of it, tomorrow would bring new prey. She knew So Phong well, saying keep it for night, but clearly it was for her to eat 1 more skewer. Humph, this is called sharing. Van Han wrinkled her nose, again offering the skewer. Fine, I will eat, all right? So Phong bit a piece helplessly, chewing, the taste better than imagined. Indeed, he was hungry, craving food. How is it, delicious? Van Han smiled brightly, handed the skewer again. Eat 1 more, the last piece is mine. Chapter 44, Pursuing Capital. Oh dear, have another piece. Yun Han pouted playfully. Su Feng stared blankly at the girl acting cute. Since when did Yun Han act spoiled? Was she not always showing grievances? Eat quickly, or this meat will get cold. Yun Han held out the skewer again, eyes flashing with mischief. You really leave me no choice, with that look you still do not gain weight. Su Feng helplessly took another bite of roasted meat. It is fine, not gaining weight is exactly the capital many women desire. Yun Han wrinkled her nose proudly, chewing meat and muttering, I am so young and already have the capital many women dream of. The girl looked especially lively and adorable. Su Feng's mouth twitched, he was helpless against her. Put the skewer on the pot lid, let us eat soup and meat. Yun Han gave him the lid, then went to fetch chopsticks and a spoon. Su Feng set the skewer on the lid, close to the fire so insects would not approach. Here, clean. Yun Han wrapped the chopsticks with cloth to avoid flies. Let us eat. Su Feng accepted the utensils and glanced at the pot full of wild greens and rabbit meat. It surely did not look appetizing. Taste it. Yun Han drank a sip of soup, stuck out her tongue and grimaced, still bitter, looks like too many wild greens. It is fine, better than nothing. Su Feng comforted, for now they had to rely on greens since meat was too little. Yun Han only felt regret, more spices would make it much better. One skinned rabbit gave so little meat, they could only share the bitter rabbit soup together. Good, I am full. Su Fong put down the chopsticks, patted his belly, satisfied. Then save the rest for tomorrow. Yun Han licked her lips and set down her chopsticks. Save until tomorrow? Su Fong froze, then rolled his eyes. Eat it now, it cannot last, the heat will spoil it by morning. Yun Han paused, pouted, then keep it for tonight. There is not much left, you eat it all. Su Fong knew she wanted to save some, so he said, at night we can make wild green soup and eat it with roasted meat. Su Fong sat on the rock, watching the girl eat happily, all fatigue faded, body relaxed. He glanced at the blazing sun, lucky their shelter was among white stones with breezes. If in the hot forest, it would be like a steamy bath. Nothing left. Yun Han drank the last of the soup, lips pursed in regret, belly only half full. I will wash the pot and fetch water. Yun Han carried the pot and utensils toward the stream. Be careful. Su Fong reminded, with the sun-blazing animals stayed still. All right. Yun Han waved and ran off. What should I do now? Su Fong looked at the fire and pondered. In the wild, one needs shelter, fire, water, and food. Buzz buzz. Almost forgot, my head feels heavy. Su Fong patted his forehead, full after a meal he felt drowsy. He brought the greens beside the fire, preparing to mix the mosquito-repellent formula, hoping to sleep well tonight. These mosquitoes are annoying. Su Fong placed a wormwood branch on the fire, thick smoke rose at once. Hoo. But this method was only temporary, soon more mosquitoes would come. Luckily he had the repellent recipe, he just needed to prepare it. Wormwood, wild mint. Su Fong sorted them by type and measure. Su Fong, are you sorting wild greens? Yun Han came back with water, hung the pot on the stand and squatted to help. Su Fong was speechless, it looked like he was sorting greens, but actually he was preparing mosquito repellent. Yun Han's face flushed red, she nodded silently, then hurried into the hut to fetch the embroidery frame she had barely started last night. Chapter 45, How much space to leave? The stitches must not be too dense. Van Han murmured while adjusting the needle, the sharp tip gliding against the whetstone. So Phong tilted his head, watching the girl focus on sewing underwear, his lips curved into a warm smile, feeling survival in the wild was not so bad. He lowered his head and began to prepare the insect repellent, collecting all the needed plants before mixing. This medicine relied on its smell to drive mosquitoes away, like mugwort leaves around which few mosquitoes appeared. His task was to crush the plants, mix their liquid, then add charcoal powder, rolling them into small balls, the simplest insect repellent. With one ball in a pouch, mosquitoes would stay 2 meters away. Seeing the camera no longer pointed at Van Han, he crushed the plants and stirred in charcoal. After a while. Done. So Phong looked at 10 repellent balls on the shovel, some as big as a red date, some as small as a fingertip. So Phong, what is this? Van Han stopped sewing, staring at the black balls, her mind drifting. Could he be playing childish games with black mud? Why do I feel you are thinking something bad? So Phong squinted at her strange expression. Is my face dirty? He wiped with the back of his hand, finding it blackened from the plant liquid mixed with charcoal. Let me wipe your face. Van Han rose, took a cloth, and wet it in the iron pot. So Phong raised his inky hands helplessly. I will wipe your face. She stood before him, holding the cloth, staring at his clear eyes, her heart strangely tense, stammering, close your eyes. All right. He smiled softly and closed his eyes. It felt like playing with rubber clay with her friend Lisa, his face shifting shapes in her hands. What are you doing, MMM? He muttered, making her let go. He twitched his eye and asked angrily, what are you doing? How much do you like soft things? He rolled his eyes, recalling the bouncy ball at home she quickly crushed. That feeling, it makes one itch. Van Han whispered. What? He asked, for she spoke too softly. The large balls are hidden around, the small ones sewn in cloth bags, worn on the neck or waist. So Phong explained. The repellent lasted about 7 or 8 days, then weakened, and had no effect on large insects. Van Han kept sewing, then looked up at him placing the balls. What is it? Why are you staring? He asked. That. She held the cloth corners, exposing a gap in the underwear at the lower part. Is there a problem? He leaned closer, seeing only a gap like his own underwear. Here. She blushed, pointing at the spot, whispering, this fabric stretches too normally, how much space should be left here? She responded shyly. You should make one for yourself too, clothes should be washed and dried under sunlight. He chuckled, turned back to placing the balls, believing tonight they would sleep well. Yes. She lowered her head shyly. Chapter 46, Wilderness Without Time. Today he sweated all day, his body already smelled salty. If left for a few more days without care, that odor could overwhelm the scent of herbs. Like an old salted fish. Chirp, chirp. Stepping into the forest, So Phong heard birds singing, the island indeed had many. He glanced around, muttering, there must be a nest nearby, finding some eggs to cook would be good. Unfortunately he only heard the birds, never saw their shadows. With no choice, he focused on collecting vines, once again sweating heavily, then carried them back to the shelter. With no clock or phone, he had no idea what time it was, he could only guess by the rising and setting sun. Finished? He dropped the vines and turned to see the blushing girl holding out underwear. He waved, my hands are dirty, you hold it and let me look. His lips twitched at the odd square shorts, no legs, the lower part bulging like a square with 2 straps. The workmanship, he did not mind, to sew with wooden needles like this was already good. Looks good, these shorts I can wear for a year. He grinned, giving a thumbs up. Watching the girl's back as she returned, he frowned and recalled knowledge. I remember shadows can tell time in the wild. Make a sundial then. He fixed a log at the shelter door, picked 2 sticks, one as ruler, one to draw. The sundial was ancient invention to track time. Shadow tilted 15 degrees, means 1 hour? He drew a line, then another, murmuring, 180 minus 2 is 90, then half is 45, then divide by 3 to get 15, then divide smaller. Ba-ba. He tossed the stick, dusted his hands, done, only need to mark sunrise and sunset shadows, then roughly know the day's hours. Accuracy was impossible, he only needed rough segments. Half an hour later, he finished a wooden cage, carried it to the waterfall, fixed it at yesterday's spot, then washed face and hands. Go make bark strips, weave rope, tomorrow at sea it will help. He took the axe to peel bark. When he returned, the sun already glowed orange, another day gone. Seems rope will wait till tonight. Carrying bark back, he saw the girl in underclothes, holding a strange piece before her chest. Cough, done? He glanced at the camera, moved aside, no drone in sight, she must have turned it off. Yes, done. Van Han nodded shyly, quickly putting on a jacket to hide her pale skin. She had wanted to try on the bra behind, had moved the drone aside, but he came back suddenly. Make another back garment and shorts, you need to change too. He said calmly, seeing her back clothes already yellowed. He stored the bark, don't be too thrifty, use cloth now, later there will be other materials. All right. She blushed softly. So Phong, why take charcoal? Van Han held the pot washing clothes. Crushed charcoal can clean skin, also work as shampoo. He hung the axe, took wild greens and shovel out. Really? She widened eyes, she only knew black charcoal could filter water. Chapter 47, The Domineering Feminine Aura. At this moment the 2 girls were crouching behind the bamboo, their eyes fixed on a fat bamboo rat more than 10 meters away, bigger than the one they caught yesterday. Lu Yimeng, can you really hit it? Louis Zhu whispered beside her younger sister.
Whether we can have meat today depends entirely on you.
In the morning they had gathered some wild greens, then finished building their hideout.
Last night's rain had leaked through a bit. If not for their waterproof jackets they would not have slept at all. Of course I can, just leave it to me. Lu Yiming raised her thumb, stood up and skillfully drew her bow. Swoosh! She released, the arrow cut through the air but missed, flying right over the rat's head. The bamboo rat froze then darted into its hole. No way, it missed? Louis Zhu's mouth fell open, the vision of bamboo rat soup instantly vanished. How could this happen? Lu Yimeng muttered in disbelief. Ah, just a little more and I would have hit.
She had studied biology at university, knew plants well, and recognized many wild vegetables.
So we will eat wild green soup?
Lu Yimeng's spirited face collapsed, remembering the bitter taste of that soup at noon, a memory she could not erase. Bitter, astringent, like chewing soaked paper pages.
What else can we do? Without catching the rat we can only eat wild green soup. Louis Zhu snapped. Yet 1 month later winter would begin.
Louis Zhu worried how harsh winter might be on this island. If snow buried the mountains they would be eliminated.
For now her goal was to eat and prepare supplies for the coming cold. Tomorrow I will definitely hit.
Lu Yiming swore earnestly, convinced that if she had not aimed at the rat's head she might have succeeded.
You promised me the same this morning. Louis Zhu rolled her eyes. It was just a mistake, definitely a mistake. Lu Yiming pouted playfully.
By now they had gone 2 days without caring about their looks, hair messy, faces smeared with dirt, looking like vagabonds.
What are you saying? You don't look much better. Lu Yimeng countered.
With short hair she could still manage, but her sister's long hair was a mess.
She forced herself not to dwell on appearances. After all, what could they do in the wild?
Their bodies now carried the so-called domineering feminine aura.
Sister, what do we do now? The sun is setting. Lu Yiming looked at the horizon. Give me the bow, let me practice some shots. Louis Zhu thought.
She could not always rely on her younger sister. With 2 hunters their chances doubled.
I will teach you.
Lu Yiming eagerly explained the basics of archery.
A few minutes later,
they returned to the hideout. Louis Zhu practiced shooting while her sister cooked wild green soup.
Swoosh!
Louis Zhu released, the arrow flew wide, missing the tree by more than a meter. She shook her sore arm.
This is really hard.
Shoot a few more then rest, don't waste too much energy.
Swoosh! Ah! A painful cry rang out.
Startled, Lu Yiming rushed out, seeing her sister clutching her chest and squatting down. Lu Yiming's mouth twitched. She already knew what happened, for she had once suffered the same. She quickly helped her up and whispered.
Sister, did the bowstring hit your chest? MHM. Louis Zhu groaned, sweating. Help me inside.
I told you, the bowstring must be away from the chest. With your large chest you would surely get struck.
Lu Yiming muttered like an elder. Lu Yimeng, shut up. Louis Zhu snapped, embarrassed. Her chest size was an 8. Cough, should we check it? Lu Yiming said awkwardly, suddenly understanding what lectures felt like. Move the camera, and adjust the drone too. Louis Zhu wanted to check properly. Okay. Lu Yimeng complied.
She then shut the bamboo door and urged.
Sister, done, you can take it off. Do you need my help? Stop, I can do it myself. Louis Zhu gasped. A few minutes later. Luckily it is only a red mark. Louis Zhu sighed in relief. Blame it on your chest being too big. Lu Yimeng muttered.
You are just jealous.
One day I will grow too. Chapter 48, Eating no less than in the city.
First wash the wild vegetables, I will prepare the charcoal and bathe, whispered Phong.
Okay.
Van Han obediently replied, crouching by the pond to wash the vegetables, picking those less bitter.
Crack crack.
So Phong crushed the charcoal, his eyes scanned around as he muttered, "Fetching water here is troublesome, it would be great to find bamboo." He felt regret, for today he did not find any bamboo, otherwise he could channel water to the hideout. He wrapped 2 packets of charcoal powder in wild leaves, to avoid touching by hand. Looking at the rest, he smiled, "Let me try washing hair with charcoal first." He grabbed some powder, wet his hair, and rubbed it in. Hee, so black. Van Han covered her mouth, watching him scratch his scalp. Whoosh whoosh. "Here, wipe your face." She handed him a towel, bringing 2 this time. "Charcoal is ready, you bathe first." So Phong accepted the towel, pointing to the 2 packets on the shovel. Around 5 in the afternoon, the water felt just right. Van Han happily replied, taking clothes and charcoal into the wooden cage. After a hard day, bathing was the best. He removed the animal hide from the rock, touching it, finding a membrane forming under the skin. 1 more day of drying would suffice. 15 minutes later, the girl came out, hair still wet, giving a different charm. So Phong thought an online saying was true: men look handsome after bathing, women like Van Han need no makeup to shine. "So Phong, your turn to bathe." Blushing, she tilted her head, avoiding drops on herself, and handed him clean clothes. "All right, keep watch around." He took them, grabbed another packet, and went inside. He stripped, sprinkled the black powder like salting fish, rubbed it over. The grains felt strange. Splash splash. Water poured down, leaving him refreshed, like released from chains. Indeed, bathing feels much better. Dressed again, stretching, he carried his dirty clothes out, seeing Van Han washing with the shovel. "Throw it here," she called. "Okay." He walked over, handed it instead of throwing. After washing clothes and vegetables, dusk arrived. They returned to the hideout. He dragged a log about 30 centimeters wide and 7 or 8 meters long. "No, this log can be hollowed into a barrel," he shook his head. Now they had only 1 iron pot, used for soup and carrying water, far from enough. He could fire pottery from clay, but survival just began. No time yet, maybe later when full and free. "Is it difficult?" "What should I do?" she hesitated. "Not hard. Tonight you mend the insect bag, also make one for the back and shorts." He smiled, having a solution. Without waiting, he glanced at the boiling pot, smiled, "All right, let us eat dinner." She nodded, taking chopsticks and spoon. He lifted the iron pot, placed it on a raucous table, uncovered skewered meat and set it aside. "Dinner, today we even have 2 meals," she sighed. "Then from now on we try for 3, he laughed, handing her a skewer. Certainly." She bit into meat, then drank soup. They ate meat and wild soup, 1 ladle each, 1 chopstick each. "So Phong, even here in the wild, our meals are no worse than in the city. 2 days straight we had game," she softly said. He paused, then laughed. "Yes, yesterday snake, today hare. What will come later, no one knows." Chapter 49, A Different Kind of Wood Carving. Van Han cleaned the pot and chopsticks. She lifted her head, blinked around and softly said, "So Phong, there really are no mosquitoes." "The insect repellent works, it is indeed effective." So Phong looked around and saw no mosquitoes. Otherwise, just like yesterday, the hiding place would be surrounded by many mosquitoes that stung at every chance. "Great, I do not have to scratch anymore." Van Han looked down at her legs. There were some red marks, all from mosquito bites. "From now on, carry 1 insect repellent pill and no mosquito will come close." So Phong pointed to the secluded shelter. On the stone lay several pills. "All right, then I will mend the bag first." Van Han took out a wooden needle and thread, starting her night work. After cutting the cloth with the axe, So Phong began to handle the log. Tonight he prioritized making a wooden barrel. Tomorrow they would go to the beach and needed a container for water. The rope from tree bark could wait. There must be no cracks. He marked the log with the axe, about half a foot long. "Hoo hoo." He exhaled, raised the axe and started chopping, preparing to split the uncracked part.
Bang bang bang. NK
Left a
books.
chop, right a chop, cutting in a slanted V shape, easier to split the wood. If closer to the core it would be hard. His chopping had a clear rhythm. The log was more than 30 centimeters thick and needed time to split. He cut one side, then turned to the other, and used the military shovel to saw the center. Creak creak. At night, even though the air cooled, working too hard still made him sweat.
Hoo hoo hoo.
After more than 10 minutes the log finally split, then another 10 minutes for the other side. Now he had to smooth both ends, otherwise it could not stand.
Bang bang bang.
His chopping was steady, rhythmic, like music mixing with the cries of beasts in the forest.
The night forest was frightening, strange cries echoed as if entering a ghostly world.
After half an hour the log was flattened, a half-foot high piece stood upright like a small stool.
Van Han stopped sewing, rubbed her sore eyes and softly asked, "Do you want to rest a bit?"
The fire crackled, flames leaped with the wind, making the eyes even more weary.
"Not tired, better to work more while I can."
So Phong smiled, took the sharp military shovel and began to dig at the log center.
"At first you can turn the shovel, but once deeper it cannot move, strength is not enough to twist it,"
he explained while working. The shovel was about 20 centimeters wide, leaving walls 5 or 6 centimeters thick for the barrel. Creak creak. After a few minutes the friction increased, he could no longer twist and had to pull it out.
"So Phong, will this not burn the log?" Van Han worried. "No."
He shook his head and explained, "As long as it does not ignite, it is fine, just clear the charred parts." He learned this from a video. People used fire to hollow wood for a stone axe. Now he used it to make a barrel, saving strength. Mainly because there was no chisel. If using stone it might crack the log, and with half-foot height the bottom was hard to dig.
"So Phong, can this way also make wooden bowls?" Her eyes shone. "Girls think of household, boys think of hunting, now they followed the same way." "Yes, later when free I will try to make some." He nodded, he had the same idea. With more supplies, full utensils were needed, life should have some ritual. "Good, then I leave it to you." She smiled. At night free time was not much, she feared having nothing to do. "The log is smoking," she cried in alarm. "It is fine." He calmly found 2 sticks, took out the coals inside. Then he used the axe to scrape, clearing the charred parts. The log hollowed deeper. Chapter 50. I just want to choose ordinary people. Clap 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 clap. At night came the howls of apes, mixed with the shrill whistles of birds, making the challengers on Xianyu Island shrink into their hiding places. Today was the second night of wilderness survival 365 days, on the small island beside Xianyu, called Half Moon Island. This was where the challengers had landed earlier, also where the rescue team was stationed. In a wooden cabin, academician Li Ko was also present. He kept watching the challengers' situation. "Has no one rushed in?" The old voice of Li Ko sounded. "Rest assured, elderly, we have sealed all around, even the seabed is blocked, no force can contact the challengers," the chief person in charge said. "That is good," Li Ko said calmly. His cloudy eyes behind the glasses stared at the screen, watching Sua Fong chopping at a log. This old man, have many secrets, some things you better not ask." His eyes occasionally flashed as if probing others. No big secret." Zhang Jiwei was sweating, not daring to pry further. "Yes, that piece of land." Zhang Jiwei stopped halfway. Li Ko's cloudy eyes suddenly turned sharp, staring at his face. "Elderly, I mean no harm, I am only curious." Zhang Jiwei quickly waved his hand. Indeed, he had no other intent. As a confidential officer, he knew Li Ko's weight, he dared not peek at anything. "Did someone send you to test me?" Li Ko turned his head, his sharp eyes dulled again, looking tired. "Yes." Zhang Jiwei lowered his head in shame. "Tell them, that land is not for them. Whoever can survive wilderness survival 365 days, I will give it to him." Li Ko said coldly. The eternal right to use that land. 30 years ago someone had estimated its value at 80 million, that was cautious. In truth it was an entire mountain range, worth many times more than the 2 billion rumored outside. If exposed as a mountain range, it would cause a storm, so they hid it as just land. Li Ko's old village was also in that range, though everyone moved away decades ago. But fallen leaves return to roots. In old age he still recalled his beautiful childhood, climbing hills, diving, picking fruits, chasing birds. Sell it? Li Ko's lips curved into a mocking smile. How to sell? Once the deed is transferred, it is eternal. Ah? Zhang Jiwei was stunned, staring at the pale figure before him. I am not yet senile, that land once transferred is unique, unsellable. Li Ko laughed like an old fox. If the holder dies with no heir, the land returns to the state. He suddenly pitted those striving people, all were cut off by elderly. The holder either had an eternal land, or returned it to the state. Others had no chance at all. From the start, Li Ko gave only two choices. The greatest reward was for the holder to develop the land. Elderly, may I ask why you choose people in this way? Zhang Jiwei asked. In wilderness survival 365 days, unless met unexpected danger, no one could last so long. Voluntarily surviving in the wild for 1 year, few could do. Now choosing from tens of millions of people, this was harder still. Nothing much, I just want to choose ordinary people. Whoever can survive 1 year in the wild will not be lacking elsewhere. Li Ko's lips smiled, just like him before, from ordinary people persisting till now. Perhaps this was him observing a kind of life, a journey of 365 days. The older, the stranger, Li Ko simply wanted this way to select an heir, to choose
books.
one both lucky and hard-working. Zhang Jiwei gave up, inwardly admiring the 100 groups of challengers. As long as they endured 1 year, it was one step to the sky. He thought those who quit early would surely regret. Yes, I signed the formal confidentiality agreement. Zhang Jiwei saluted. Ha 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 ha. This youngster is interesting. Li Ko suddenly laughed heartily. Zhang Jiwei was dazed, then looked at the screen, just in time to see Phong putting charcoal into the log. He exclaimed, truly, his thinking differs from ordinary people. Ordinary people would not think of using charcoal, most would struggle with tools or fail to solve the problem. Chapter 51, Octopus Embrace. It may take a while longer, you should sleep first. So Phong added firewood to the log. He turned to glance at the girl beside him, dressed in shorts and a tank top, unknowingly already asleep. Ah. Do not be too slow, I am sleeping first. Van Han curled her lips, let out a yawn. She could not hold on, her head now heavy and unresponsive. Yes, I will finish up and then sleep. So Phong smiled faintly, the girl was truly exhausted. So comfortable. So Phong looked at the still sleeping bag, shook his head in amusement. Ah. He too felt drowsy, looked at the wooden barrel, thought he must prepare a little more. Awah! Night fell, silence spread, wild beasts roared unwilling to be lonely. The forest at night is truly dangerous. So Phong sat in the tent, fed more wood into the fire, the flames blazed brighter. The hideout and tent were 1 meter apart, smoke dispersed easily, and the sky full of stars was visible. So beautiful, if only I had a camera. So Phong leaned back on his hands, gazed up at the brilliant galaxy. He felt relaxed, forgetting for now the city rent, meals, and expenses. He smiled, why worry, win first place, and all will be solved. An hour passed in silence. Tomorrow I must wash thoroughly. He stretched, wiped his face, removed his shoes. So Phong looked at the camera off the sleeping bag, then carefully slipped inside. Mum. The bag shifted, the girl murmured. Hoo. Seeing Van Han still asleep, her calm face, so Phong breathed out. Then he was caught off guard. Never sleeping honestly. He helplessly watched the girl suddenly embrace him,
her posture like a small octopus.
Wearing only tank top and shorts, skin touched skin, making his heart tremble, yet fatigue one. So sleepy, this bag is so comfortable. His thoughts blurred, and soon he drifted off. It was only around 10 at night, the city nightlife just beginning, while in the wilderness beasts were lively. Elsewhere, Zhao Lei and Zhao Loi chose to hunt at night, the lizard from daytime not enough. Awah!
The cry in the woods stopped their steps.
Zhao Loi peered into the darkness, seeing glowing eyes, unknown beasts watching. He asked softly, "Brother, must we truly enter the forest at night?" Cough cough.
Zhao Lei laughed awkwardly, "Too tired today, let us rest and hunt tomorrow."
"Yes, I think so too."
Zhao Loi quickly agreed. They returned, slept on tree branches, looking up at the rough shelter roof.
"Brother, do you think we can get the reward?" Zhao Loi asked. "You mean the top 3? Zhao Lei bit a twig. "Yes, endure a month, I still have faith." Zhao Loi smiled. "We can, our family is watching, do not worry."
Zhao Lei said firmly. "Yes, we must not shame our family." Zhao Loi forced himself spirited. "If we meet another group, it would be good, more people make survival easier." Zhao Lei sighed, recalling the twin sisters.
"Yes, if 2 more men joined, survival would be smoother." Zhao Loi echoed.
Zhao Lei rolled his eyes, his brother was married, he was not.
He thought, are the Lu sisters far away? If near, I could care for them more, perhaps a story would begin? Awah! Sadly, all was fantasy, the beasts roaring in the dark were real.
If Zhao Loi knew his brother's thoughts, he would surely say, "We cannot even support ourselves."
Chapter 52, Charcoal Mint Toothpaste.
Early morning, the forest echoed with discordant birdsong.
"No!"
The girl opened her eyes, seeing Phong calm face just inches away, their breaths mingling. Her confusion vanished, cheeks flushed red, arms and legs moving awkwardly, the situation the same as yesterday.
"Honestly, why don't you ever listen?"
Van Han pouted, lightly patting her hand.
AI.
She sighed, rubbing her leg, thinking her habit of hugging things in sleep could never change. Soon she pushed aside her shyness, glanced into the thicket and whispered, "First set up the mosquito canopy." From the sleeping bag, Phong opened his eyes, lips curling in a faint smile, clearly having heard her words.
Eh?
Van Han yelped in fright, her body trembling.
She clutched her chest, turned back, glared at him and snapped, "Can you stop scaring people so early? You were too focused." Phong calmly pulled out his 4-cornered pants and dressed. You.
She froze at his movements, eyes darting to her own shirt gap, blushing and turning away. Watching her shy look, he shook his head and muttered, "Why be shy, it's not like I haven't seen before."
Phong, is the wooden barrel finished?"
She quickly asked, handing him the cloth bag with the canopy.
"Finished, over there by the firewood."
He put on his shoes and pointed.
"Wow, really done."
She hugged the barrel, amazed, "You're incredible. With this we can store more water." "Yes, but clean it first, there's still charcoal inside." He stepped out, gazing at the still dim sky. "I'll take it to wash now." She hurried to the stream with the barrel.
"Let's go together."
He took the axe and iron pot. They reached the stream, grooming themselves and washing their messy hair. Soon she no longer cared about her hair, splashing water on her face, thinking only of filling her stomach. He noticed silently, deciding to craft her a wooden comb later.
Phong, what shall we do next?"
"I'll check the rabbit traps, you stay and make some rope, then we'll go to the beach together." He arranged.
"All right."
She nodded gently, not daring to insist, fearing to slow him down. "Brush your teeth first, then boil more water."
He smiled. "Brush teeth?"
She was puzzled, since in the wild there were no toothbrushes or paste.
"This can be used to brush teeth?"
She doubted as she took the charcoal, hesitated, then put it in her mouth.
"Don't worry, it's fine."
He handed her a twig after making one for himself.
Strange. She frowned but imitated him. First time brushing with charcoal, the feeling wasn't bad. Charcoal could even be eaten a little, helping cleanse the stomach. Ah! Your teeth look so white, she exclaimed after rinsing. Of course, in some African tribes they also use charcoal for teeth. He explained, thinking about mixing in wild mint, creating a charcoal mint paste. Before, I worried about cavities. She stuck out her tongue, relieved. Take the pot back to boil water, I'll wash the barrel, he instructed. All right. She obediently carried the full pot back. Use some sand to scrub, it will be easier to clean. He scooped sand, scrubbing the barrel. After a few minutes, it was clean, and he filled it with water to return. Chapter 53, A New Discovery. Hearing footsteps, Van Han turned her head, smiling as she greeted, "You are back, I was about to soak the iron pot in water." "Yes, this place also has clean water." So Phong set the wooden bucket down and softly said, "Stay hidden here and do not go out, I will check the grassland traps first." Ah! Van Han was startled, her brows furrowed, and she asked anxiously, "You did not bring water with you?" "No, I will go quickly and return soon." So Phong shook his head and reassured, "Yesterday the path was cleared, today we do not need to cut it again. And I will not pick wild greens, so I can return quickly." Yesterday he had spent much time on clearing and foraging. "All right then," Van Han answered while suppressing her worry. "Remember, do not wander around." So Phong instructed, took the chopping knife, and left the hideout with a bundle of rope. He looked at the sun and murmured, "It is not yet 7, going and returning will take about 1 hour, I will be back before 8. Turning to look at the worried and lovely face of the girl, he smiled gently and whispered, "Do not worry, nothing will happen." Then he turned into the forest, following the traces from yesterday. Van Han bit her lip, watching his figure disappear into the forest, and could not help but cup her hands and shout, "So Phong, come back early." Walking among the trees, So Phong heard her voice, paused a moment, then quickly moved on. Tap tap tap. Crack crack. Since the path was opened by him, he was familiar and moved fast. After half an hour he reached the grassland. "Hoo hoo!" So Phong panted, hiding behind a tree to observe. "Ah! What is going on?" He looked around and saw that the rope traps were unchanged. Checking the remaining 3 traps, they were all intact, which puzzled him. Strange, since yesterday afternoon, how could no rabbit come to feed? So Phong frowned, thinking that if a rabbit had been caught and taken by the red wolf, that was expected. Could this meadow have only 1 rabbit? He bit his lip and thought, then denied himself, "No, impossible, with so many burrows, there cannot be only 1 rabbit. Could they all be too scared to come out?" But he shook his head, rabbits are timid, but not that much. Suddenly a thought struck him, he exclaimed, "Could it be, there is another warren?" So Phong glanced around and muttered, "It seems I must explore the surroundings." He turned his gaze toward the place where the red wolf had appeared yesterday, hesitated, and decided to start there. With wolves near the camp, he wanted to check carefully to avoid danger later. Crack! So Phong used his knife to cut vines. After a few minutes the path opened, with taller trees and fewer shrubs. Looking up, he saw only scattered sunlight through leaves, and said softly, "The sunlight is all blocked by the big trees." He went on for a few minutes. Ah! So Phong was surprised at the mound before him. A wide grassland appeared, much larger than before, like a football field. He said, "Could the rabbit burrows here connect with the smaller meadow earlier? These rabbits dig very well." He muttered, preparing to set traps, but stopped after a few steps. He stared at a red wolf rushing out, recognizing it as the one from yesterday, now hunting. Bang bang bang. Frightened rabbits dashed into burrows, the slower ones were caught and became its breakfast. The wolf grabbed a rabbit and quickly disappeared. It seems this meadow is truly the hunting ground of the red wolf. So Phong thought.
He entered the meadow and examined it, soon noticing bear droppings and urine, which suggested bears also hunted rabbits here.
Better leave for now, this place is too dangerous.
So Phong left the meadow cautiously. Returning toward the smaller grassland, he realized that traps here would be useless, since any rabbits caught would be stolen by other beasts, so he needed another way to catch them.
Chapter 54, Luck Arrives.
It seems Wang Lin was right, indeed So Phong failed to catch the rabbit.
Unexpectedly there is still a meadow, the landing spot they chose was truly good. What a pity, still no rabbit caught.
So Phong should have listened to Wang Lin yesterday, kept some food for today.
Looks like today they will go hungry.
So Phong had no idea what the audience was saying, and even if he knew, he would not care. He left the meadow, followed the old path back, just stepped out of the forest and onto the grass when he froze.
A rabbit?
His mouth gaped as he saw 2 rabbits struggling in the rope trap.
Yes, 2 rabbits.
NK books.
Ha ha ha, luck has come.
He laughed loudly, rushed up, and pressed down the struggling rabbit.
To prevent suffocation, he tied its limbs tightly, then released the trap. The other was handled the same way.
In this hot weather, a dead animal spoils in a few hours, especially in the wild full of bacteria.
Seems the red wolf chased them, forcing the rabbits here. He smiled faintly, glanced at the 2 rabbits at his feet, and even wanted to thank that red wolf.
He raised his head, looked at the other traps, stunned as he waited for more rabbits. More than 10 minutes passed.
Looks like only these 2 today.
He did not force it, stood up and collected the traps.
Today is a good day. He smiled endlessly.
To free a hand for his knife, he tied the rabbits to a stick, carried them on his shoulder, and headed back.
Step, step, step.
On the way back, he was relaxed. With 2 rabbits there was food for today and tomorrow.
But the audience exploded. What the hell? What is happening? Tell me, were the rabbits props? A moment ago there were none, now suddenly they appear?
These foolish rabbits escaped the wolf, only to fall into So Phong's hands.
Really hope Wang Lin can see this, such a slap in the face. Ha!
Many watched, including challengers who had been eliminated.
Damn, So Phong's luck is insane.
Yang Chang covered his bruised cheek watching the stream, and when he saw the rabbits in the trap, he jumped up excitedly. As his hand dropped, the bruise on his face was clearly visible. Beside him, Sun Bing twitched his lips and shifted his gaze, avoiding the bruise, for it was from Yang Chang's father. Yesterday, when Yang returned home, his father was waiting, beat him harshly, and froze all his bank cards. His father scolded, "You shame the whole world, can't even compare to a 16-year-old girl, yet you make lame excuses to join meetings? Every day you just flirt around? Sun Bing, tell me, how can So Phong be so lucky?
Got 2 rabbits for nothing."
Sun Bing pressed his lips, said nothing, just stayed silent. As a subordinate, silence was sometimes the best reply, especially when the boss complained.
AI. Yang Chang sighed sadly.
If I had known, I would not have left. I did not expect so many to follow this show. He opened his phone, checked social media, and indeed saw the trending tag #2foolishrabbits delivered themselves hashtag. So Phong and Van Han, leaving now, will soon become internet famous. He sighed, then asked Sun Bing, how long do you think they can endure?
At least 1 month. Sun Bing answered instantly. Watching the live, he noticed So Phong's survival skills, each detail handled well.
He shrugged, anyway this show had already given him plenty, never a loss.
Chapter 55, One Male One Female.
Returning to camp, So Phong stepped out of the forest and saw Van Han crouching near the gate, weaving a rope, then looking up and spotting him.
So Phong, you are back, nothing happened right?
She dropped the rope and rushed over, her bright eyes scanning him, relieved to see no wounds. She had feared he might meet the red wolves, the most dangerous of all.
I am fine.
He smiled gently, removed the wooden staff from his shoulder, and shook 2 small rabbits before her.
Rabbits, real rabbits?
Van Han froze, then jumped in surprise.
And 2 of them, amazing.
These 2 fools came to me. At first I thought the trap caught nothing. He recounted the scene at the meadow, focusing on how he caught them. Then we should thank that red wolf, it gave us rabbits. She teased. Yes, thank it, so I destroyed all the traps, let it train itself to hunt. He smirked mischievously.
Ha ha, you are wicked.
She laughed till tears came, then touched the rabbit's ear.
When shall we kill it? Not now.
She hesitated, then shook her head.
Did you not say we should reach the coast first?
Yes, we can eat later.
He agreed.
Rabbit meat could wait, but the sunny day was good for travel.
Rest a bit, drink, then we go.
She carried the rabbits ahead. They entered the shelter. She placed the rabbits aside and handed him a pot.
I boiled water and left it to cool.
Good, then no need to carry hot water. He frowned slightly, but changed his words. She noticed, knowing he worried for her. She smiled and explained.
Do not worry, I learned your way of hitting trees with a stick to get water.
That is good. He sighed in relief, not to restrict her, but the wild was too dangerous. Water sources remained risky, so he planned to find bamboo to lead water to camp.
So Phong, is the rabbit male or female?
She asked curiously.
1 male and 1 female.
He had already checked.
Then if we keep them, will they breed?
I heard rabbits multiply fast.
Her eyes lit up.
Yes, with enough food, a rabbit can bear 6 litters a year. He closed his eyes, realizing keeping them was not bad.
Wow, they breed so much, then we will always have meat.
She exclaimed.
But only if we have food to feed them.
I will build a cage, tying is not good. He drank and went to find vines to make a small wooden cage.
Then I will fetch grass.
She took the shovel and left.
Soon she returned with grass, seeing the cage already holding 2 rabbits. Rest now, drink, then we head for the sea.
He accepted the grass, threw some inside.
Yes.
She sat and drank from the pot.
Can leaves be woven into one?
She asked. Yes, good idea. He praised.
He placed sticks into a grid, set leaves in the gaps, tied with rope, making a simple lid. Then he found vines, wrapped them around the wooden bucket, made straps to carry.
After yesterday, he preferred to be tired but carry enough water.
Shall we go now?
She put on her hat. Wait, take torches, powder, and fire
NK
tools.
books.
At the sea we need fire for salt.
He ordered. I will fetch them.
She searched the firewood pile.
Then let us go.
He carried the bucket, held his axe and shovel, and led the way.
Chapter 56, The Second Exploration.
The 2 of them stepped into the forest nearby.
So Phong, are we going to follow that path to reach the beach? Van Han tilted her head, revealing her slender white neck, very alluring.
That path is a bit far, we should go straight to the beach. So Phong shook his head, his gaze sweeping across the girl's collarbone, then pointed toward the sea and said, I have checked, this slope is not very steep, it should lead directly to the beach. Their camp was on high ground, so they could see the distant sea, but the coastline was hidden by trees, leaving only the direction to guide them.
If the slope is gentle, then we do not need a detour.
Van Han smiled softly and reasoned.
Exactly. So Phong nodded and stepped into the forest.
Van Han followed behind, quietly memorizing the location of some wild vegetables, leaving small marks, knowing they would often go to the beach later.
More than an hour passed. Crack, crack. So Phong chose paths with fewer plants to save effort clearing the way.
The closer they got to the sea, the more humid and stifling the air became. Soon both were drenched in sweat, and the iron pot of water emptied quickly. Carrying a water barrel was the right decision.
So Phong smiled, wiping sweat from his forehead. Though it added weight, it allowed them to keep going. So Phong, shall we rest a bit? Van Han panted. All right, let us rest. So Phong nodded. Today they sweated more than yesterday. The vegetation here was denser, making the path harder.
In the forest, sometimes a whole day would not cover many kilometers, most of the time wasted struggling with the trees.
Hoo.
So Phong exhaled, scanning around. Trees grew lush everywhere. The law of the jungle was cruel, the weak were prey to the strong, even plants competed for light and soil nutrients.
Van Han looked at his shoulders, feeling pained. Let me carry the wooden barrel for a while. No need, it is not very heavy.
So Phong shook his head. If she carried it, their pace would slow. Seeing her reluctant, he wiped his hair and comforted, do not worry, the water will keep getting lighter as we drink.
Van Han pursed her lips, dissatisfied.
So Phong thought about the system gift pack, wishing for another strengthening potion for the girl.
Things will improve, once I feed you well and you grow stronger.
He bent down and poked her cheek playfully. She ate a lot, but at the orphanage she had to work hard and seldom ate nutritious food. Most meals were only sweet potato porridge.
That left her undernourished and weak.
He himself was the same until he had the strengthening potion.
Nonsense, I never get fat.
Van Han pouted and brushed his hand away.
Humph, I will eat you up.
She rolled her eyes but secretly felt happy. Hugging the iron pot, Van Han stared at his back, then patted her flushed cheeks and hurried to follow. They struggled through more bushes, water slowly lessened in the barrel.
An hour in the underbrush was not equal to 20 minutes on the road. Ah! So Phong, there are mushrooms here. Van Han exclaimed. Mushrooms?
So Phong turned, seeing several gray mushrooms on a fallen log. This was a common edible mushroom, which they rarely ate at the orphanage.
Good. Van Han crouched, gently picked some and left the roots. Let us go, I can smell the sea. So Phong sniffed. Why can I not smell anything? Van Han blinked in surprise. It is a kind of sense. So Phong explained, it came from his survival knowledge. Really? She sniffed lightly, puzzled why she could not sense it. Boom!
Suddenly water splashing sounded, so Phong grew serious, staring ahead.
Stop! He ordered quietly, holding her back. What is it? Van Han whispered in fear, eyes darting, maybe a beast? There is water sound.
His face darkened, something was stirring the stream. His survival knowledge recalled possibilities, but many animals could cause such a sound.
Chapter 57, Dangerous Land. Ah! I have heard of it too.
Van Han widened her eyes in surprise.
Could it be that we are near the sea? No, not yet.
So Phong shook his head. If they were at the shore, the water sound would not be so faint.
Then is it a waterfall? Van Han guessed.
In his heart a thought rose, maybe saltwater crocodiles were hunting in the water, stirring up the sound.
All right, be careful. Van Han obediently said, opening the wooden box, using the iron pot to fetch water. MHM.
So Phong took the chopping axe and walked toward the place of the water sound.
After a while,
he observed carefully and discovered that the swamp would be covered by seawater when the tide rose.
Could it be saltwater crocodiles?
So Phong wondered in shock. He never thought he would see saltwater crocodiles here, and in no small number, roughly counting there were more than 10, not to mention those hidden under the surface.
Saltwater crocodiles are the largest reptiles, their attack power terrifying, but they are also influenced by territory. This area should be considered forbidden for now.
So Phong sighed, this was not the time to provoke them.
There were too many in the swamp, if it was only one or two he might consider traps.
But now, if blood appeared, a swarm would come, and even if caught, they could not be carried away.
So much meat.
So Phong stared at the several-meter-long crocodiles. He had heard their meat was delicious. His mind drifted to ways to hunt, muttering.
In winter, saltwater crocodiles should leave here, maybe one or two will remain?
What are you thinking? Now is not the time.
So Phong shook his head, forcing his attention away. He carefully observed the surroundings, deciding to reach the sea they had to circle around, choosing a path without crocodiles. NK Books. This swamp, after the tide, is a natural bay, no wonder crocodiles are here. But the right side is higher, with denser trees, going there should be safe. Step, step, step. So Phong returned by the old path, shook his head at the girl. How is it? Did you find anything? Van Han asked anxiously. Ahead is a hill slope, we must take a detour. So Phong sighed. So that water sound is not a waterfall? Van Han asked curiously. No, it is a group of saltwater crocodiles having fun. So Phong joked. Ah? Saltwater crocodiles? Van Han widened her eyes, voice trembling. Are they the kind that can reach 5 or 6 meters long? So Phong nodded, pouring water from the box to drink. How can there be saltwater crocodiles here? Van Han was stunned, recalling how terrifying they were in documentaries. Even a buffalo dragged underwater would soon be torn apart. Maybe Moon Island has a special geography. Then you must not take risks. Van Han warned seriously. I am not foolish. So Phong smiled, taking the axe and heading right. Who? Van Han exhaled, then continued moving. In the live broadcast hall, viewers were watching So Phong and Van Han. It is indeed very dangerous. Wang Lin twitched his lips. He did not expect the producers to choose a landing point even with crocodiles. He had joined many survival shows, meeting crocodiles, but those were freshwater and smaller. Some shows use tricks, mixing shots of crocodiles to scare viewers. But now, Wild Survival 365 Days was live. If careless, accidents would happen. We aim for authenticity. Ha Min told the camera meaningfully. Could it be dangerous? Wu Tin Yu asked worriedly. Danger is certain, but if careful, staying away from their habitat, it should be fine. Wang Lin did not dare guarantee. Everyone, Moon Island actually has 7 places with saltwater crocodiles. Ha Min revealed a shocking fact. Ah? Wu Tinyu froze, smiling bitterly. I thought So Phong was unlucky enough, but I did not expect 7 more places with crocodiles. Actually, crocodile meat is tasty. Ha Min joked. But with such giant ones, no one dares to hunt. Wang Lin said firmly. Indeed. Wu Tinyu agreed. Chapter 58, Cooking Sea Salt. So Phong cut some vine branches, the terrain grew lower, and the forest was no longer dense. So Phong, are we near the beach yet? Van Han looked around, noticing the trees showed no sign of seawater. Hurry, this place is higher, the tide may only reach the shore. So Phong smelled the salty scent of the sea. I hope there is something to collect at the beach. Van Han whispered. It was already the 3rd day on the island and supplies were scarce. I hope so too. So Phong replied. They walked for more than 10 minutes and found trees with seawater marks. Finally, we are close. Van Han sighed. The feeling of reaching a goal was good. Be careful, we do not know what is at the beach, there could be sea snakes hiding in the bushes. So Phong warned. All right. Van Han became alert again. Crack crack. Whoosh whoosh. Come on, let us see. So Phong went ahead, scanning around, finding the beach was rocky slopes. Such a beach had no sea snakes. Only rocks, no sand. Van Han checked and felt disappointed. There was nothing to pick up. So Phong looked at her, her long lashes trembling. The sea breeze lifted her hair, making her look like a movie heroine. So Phong, what should we do now? Van Han pouted with slight sadness. So Phong scratched his head. That odd hat and her pitiful face hardly looked like a heroine. She looked like a wronged kitten. All right. Van Han's eyes lit up with hope. So easy to satisfy. So Phong muttered and led the way along the shore. A few minutes later. So Phong, look, is that a sandy beach? Van Han cried out.
She stood on tiptoe, pointing at a yellow patch in the distance.
Let us check.
So Phong quickened his pace.
Look, are those bamboo? Van Han's eyes sparkled, pointing at driftwood mixed with bamboo.
Yes, bamboo, pushed ashore by the waves. So Phong smiled, one goal reached today.
There are rocks we can climb down from. Van Han pointed at rocks shaped like steps.
Go, there is wood below, we can use it to boil salt. So Phong looked at the sun, under the heat the wood was already dry.
Okay.
The girl walked ahead excitedly. They climbed down the hot rocks to the shore and reached the driftwood. The wood was piled high, mixed with bamboo, some still fresh. It must be the current, or floods on the island washed trees into the sea, then the tide brought them here.
So Phong analyzed.
So Phong, what should we do first?
Van Han asked seriously.
Make fire for salt, then pull some bamboo ashore, later we can take more.
So Phong planned.
He also thought of water, the bamboo could not be wasted, but they did not need much.
Then I will pull the bamboo, you make fire. Van Han offered.
You first gather bamboo, then you must watch the fire. So Phong worried she might slip on the rocks.
Collect bamboo? No problem.
Van Han rolled up her sleeves and began working. With such a girl here, moods are always bright.
So Phong smiled, recalling an anime line.
He set down the wooden tub, gathered dry branches, and lit a fire. With a fire striker, in over 10 minutes the fire was burning. Set up a tripod, so the pot can heat better.
So Phong cut 3 sticks, tied them with rope.
Then find a branch for a hook.
NK books.
Crack crack. In less than 2 minutes, the hook was done. Start cooking the sea salt. So Phong filled 1/3 of the pot with seawater and placed it on the fire. He turned to see Van Han dragging bamboo, quickly called, Van Han, come watch the fire.
Yes, coming. Van Han replied, stacking the bamboo before walking over.
She wiped her sweat, looked at the boiling pot, and softly praised, So Phong, you lit the fire very fast.
Chapter 59, On the Gourmet Rock. It is really hot.
Van Han panted, tugging at her collar, thinking of taking off her jacket. But she remembered that inside she only wore a white undershirt, now damp and see-through. If she removed the jacket it would reveal everything.
Sit down and rest, use your jacket to block the sun.
So Phong said with a smile.
All right.
Van Han swallowed tiredly, pulled her arms from the sleeves, then unzipped the jacket, lifted it over her head to block the sun and also the drone above. So Phong glanced at the wooden barrel and the iron pot, then picked up the axe and went to chop bamboo. Here bamboo varied in size, thick like a calf or thin like a wrist.
Crack.
Here, use this as a bowl. So Phong handed her a bamboo tube, instructing, later put salt in this, when we return we will filter out calcium and magnesium.
Ah, that is good.
Van Han's dry lips curved in a lovely smile. He climbed up 3 times to bring all the bamboo back, then gathered some more to make pipes for water.
The weather is really hot.
So Phong wiped sweat from his brow, his body was burning.
So Phong, come drink some water. Van Han held up the jacket and waved lively. Still need more?
She blushed and asked quickly, as if baked by the fire.
Gurgle.
He was about to shake his head when his stomach growled.
So Phong, I am hungry too, shall we find food by the sea?
Van Han tilted her head and smiled.
All right, let us find something, it will be our lunch.
He had planned to finish salt first but his stomach betrayed him. He glanced at the pot, the seawater was thickening and starting to crystallize.
I will finish this and then join you.
Van Han waved her hand.
Okay, do not stand too close to the fire. He nodded and walked barefoot on the hot sand to the reef.
The beach outside was all reefs, the sand trapped inside like a natural dam.
He walked on the rocks, waves splashing and cooling his body.
Oh, plenty of sea snails.
He quickly found food, brown snails the size of a thumb.
The reef had many snails, some edible, some not. Eating the wrong ones would upset the stomach.
He gathered the edible ones and soon filled his hand. He also found some seaweed. Let us eat first, then find more. He carried them back. Is this seaweed?
Van Haan's eyes lit up. She recognized it, since seaweed was cheap and they often bought it.
Yes, how is the salt? He put the food down and looked into the pot.
Only a little water remained, the bottom crystallized into salt.
It should be fine, I will scoop it out. Van Haan eagerly used a bamboo scoop to collect the salt. Then she asked, shall we cook with seawater or fresh water? Use fresh water, we have enough until we return.
So Phong said, glancing at the barrel. In truth, seawater would also do, since they had fresh water as backup. That is better, do not waste water.
Van Haan nodded. Drip, drip. Drops sizzled on the fire.
The iron pot held 1/3 fresh water. She threw in snails and seaweed. Looking at mushrooms, she smiled, keep them for soup tonight.
As you wish.
He chuckled, hiding with her under the jacket from the sun, smelling faint fragrance mixed with sweat.
So Phong, do you think we can fish?
She poked the fire inside. We still have some thread, pity no hooks.
We do not need hooks to catch fish.
He looked at her back, faintly seeing her strap. Looking at the drone, he said with a smile, a trap can catch shrimp and small fish.
Really? She asked in surprise. Then let us try. She smiled and nodded brightly. Chapter 60, Self-Service Seafood.
The iron pot quickly boiled over, the scent of the sea spreading.
Sea snails must be cooked longer, to avoid parasites.
Han Han whispered, using a bamboo shovel to open sea snails and seaweed. Recently she read online about parasites, her heart felt uneasy. As a child she never cared, as long as she could eat she was happy. So Phong shrugged, holding a chopping knife and carving bamboo.
After a while. All right, we can eat. Han Han lifted the iron pot from the fire, poured the broth into 2 bamboo bowls.
Here. So Phong handed her bamboo chopsticks.
Hoo-hoo.
She blew on the food, tasted it, her eyes widened. The taste is very good, unlike the seaweed bought before.
After all, it is fresh. So Phong also tried, finding the flavor richer. This is my first sea snail, I do not know the taste.
Han Han picked one up, waited for it to cool, used a bamboo stick to pull the meat, a little clumsy.
Eat this part of the meat, leave the rest.
So Phong laughed and guided her.
Similar to freshwater snails? Han Han suddenly understood. Not much different.
He pursed his lips, also his first time, so said little.
Strange taste.
She chewed, surprised at how good it was.
Soon, the seaweed and snails were gone. I will go too.
Han Han put on her jacket, hurried after him. Be careful, do not go too close to the water, the waves can drag you.
So Phong warned.
The shore was not absolutely safe, sudden wind could whip waves high and pull someone away.
Yes.
She answered softly, head down searching for food but recognized few.
Aside from seaweed and the snails, she asked, so Phong, what can be eaten? Look for shells, most can be eaten.
He answered, prying an oyster from a rock. What kind of shell is this? She asked. An oyster, also called sea tare.
Oh.
But they are very small here. Wild ones are small, farmed ones grow bigger. He glanced at the reef, guessed poor nutrition.
Can oysters be eaten raw?
She looked at it, tempted to try. Her friend once said oysters were delicious, with lemon even better, she had craved it then.
They can be eaten raw.
He nodded, then added, but you should not, it may upset your stomach.
Eating raw oysters is risky, farmed ones are safer. City stomachs used to refined food might not adapt, leading to pain or diarrhea. What a pity. She sighed.
Grilled oysters are also tasty. He held up a large one, found in the rocks like a treasure.
This one is huge. Her eyes shone. Come, grill these first, then find more.
He smiled, carrying oysters to the fire.
All right, I will cook more seaweed. She followed. Viewers erupted, comments flooded. Wow, this is too much, not survival but a seafood feast. With survival like this, I want to join. Are you trying to make me laugh? Beware of the warning wind.